So welcome. Many of you have been here before to Angus's Rock with Angus, and some of you might have walked down here yourself. And look, I think most of you know why we're here today. Apart from Wallace passing away, this is one of his favourite spots where he could reflect with Angus, but it's also a beautiful spot, and it fits in with my vision of Wallace, informal. I can't imagine him putting the tuxedo on too many times in the last few years, and so this fits in with that as well. As I said, welcome. My name is Brian Walsh, and on behalf of Mr. Wallace Laidlaw Beveridge, or just Wallace or Wally, there's probably a few other names that those close to him have called him in the past, but we won't go into those today. I thank you for coming to this service today. This service is to commemorate Wallace's life and acknowledge his impact and influence on ourselves and the community in general. Wallace passed away on Tuesday at his home, surrounded by family, and it is still hard to accept that Wallace is no longer with us, and we're all wondering how life can ever be the same without him. We're here today to acknowledge the passing of Wallace and extend our deepest sympathy to all who mourn his death, especially to Annie, who has lost her husband, to Maggie, who has lost her father, Eden, Alex, Lockie and Sophie, who have lost their pa. I probably should mention Rod, the favourite son-in-law, but we might just skip that. But to all of you here who have lost a relative or a friend, it's easy to forget at times, but family and friends are the most important thing in the world. In this context, family could mean your mother, your father, your siblings, your spouse, your grandparents. But for some, it's simply those whom we share unconditional love. With family and friends beside and behind you, life can be wonderful. For 81 years, Wallace lived and loved, the same as each of us here. He enjoyed the love and affection of his family and friends. He attended school to learn. He worked hard. He approached life with enthusiasm and exuberance. He lived his own life and followed his own path in the world. But just because life can be wonderful does not mean that it's fair. It's not fair that Wallace's life has ended. It's not fair that the world has been robbed of a loving, kind-hearted man. And it's definitely not fair that his family and friends must now go on without him. Some people want, or even expect, life to be a grand adventure. They imagine that real life is about African adventures or cruising the Caribbean. They think you need these Facebook moments where you show the world your latest adventure or exploit is the pinnacle of life. It gives a false sense of reality when you portray these once-in-a-lifetime events as if they were an everyday occurrence. I guess it depends on perspective. For me, I see it differently. If you sit back and let yourself see and notice the small things, the invisible everyday stuff, the ignored and simple things in life, the beautiful, graceful, delicate, amazing, loving and wonderful moments in your life, you'll discover that life is not about the big things. It's accumulating memories of the little things. Things like sitting on the veranda watching the sunset with your family, listening to your children squeal with delight as they play in the backyard, watching the coloured leaves fall from the trees in autumn, having a quiet beer or three with your mates after a day's work, snuggling into a warm and cosy bed in wintertime, the smell of simmering pots of good food, watching your beloved Bombers win a game or more likely lose a game, tinkering with his inventions and maybe trying to invent the new Barbie mate, seeing your children and grandchildren day by day growing into people you can be proud of. When living these moments, happiness is highlighted and is suddenly placed at the front of the stage, to be seen, to be cherished, to be lived, to be felt. Wallace's life was like that, filled to overflowing with memories of the little things, created with family and friends over his 81 years on this earth, that added up to a life that's been filled with memories created during these small moments of our lives. Every one of you here will have memories of these moments with Wallace. It's the accumulation of these memories that creates the rich tapestry of our lives. Today, I hope you enjoy spending time remembering the happiness you shared with Wallace, because all of us here will grieve for the loss of Wallace. But remember, grief is not the process of forgetting. Grief is the process of learning to cope while we remember. We should try to handle our grief at the death of Wallace, not by putting him out of mind, but by remembering him. So remember Wallace, cherish your memories of him. Tears of joy will come, as well as tears of sadness, and we can only begin to move on when we understand that grief is the price we pay for the ability to love. The memories of Wallace each of you have, as a relative or a friend, will always be there, and there would be no sorrow in your hearts today if yesterday you had not known the presence of Wallace in your life. I would now ask Wallace's grandchildren to step forward and for Lockie to read a short verse they have chosen to reflect Wallace's love of the river that we have here.
This is a verse about my pa. He belonged to the river. He understood patience, weather, hard work and silence. He taught us about a good life is built slowly, with family, stories, generosity and showing up every day. The river will keep flowing, and somehow so will he in all of us.
Thank you, Lockie. Brilliantly done. I'd now ask Maggie to step forward to tell us a bit more about her dad, Wallace, the person we're all here for today.
Thanks, Brian. Wallace Beveridge was born in Ballarat on the 26th of December 1944. Child of Harold Zearley Beveridge and Nancy Roma Laidlaw. Wallace had an older brother Graham, and a younger sister Anne. They grew up at Mount Cameron on the family farm, Berwick Estate, as graziers and descendants of their Scottish and German ancestors. Dad's school years included Clunes Primary School, Clunes Higher Elementary and Ballarat College as a boarder. Dad then transitioned to the School of Mines and Industry to complete a vocational program that would prepare him for work in a rural setting. This training included farm mechanics, veterinary science, welding, plumbing, carpentry, machining and wool classing. The skills he learnt at the School of Mines supported him in his life in many different ways. Dad enjoyed playing football for the Clunes Football Club as a junior as well. Dad was a social being over this period and devoted time as a committee member and as the president of the YMCA Vikings Club for young men. This group of young men enjoyed raising money for the YMCA with activities such as a fortnightly Wednesday night dance at the Ballarat City Rowing Club for local youth. Mum and Dad met in 1967 playing tennis and were married in 1970 at the Ballarat Golf Club. After marrying, they lived at the Ballarat Airport in one of the RAF housings and then purchased 105 Wendouree Parade in 1974. Angus and I arrived in 1976 Anne and Wallace were unaware that they were about to become parents to twins, let alone their early arrival at 32 weeks. I believe Dad was blown away by a hospital corridor conversation that included congratulations from Mum's gynaecologist. Dad asked if it was a boy or a girl, and the reply was, "You have one of each." Mum and Dad would have celebrated 56 years this year in August. A lifelong love and commitment that some of us can only aspire to achieve. Mum and Dad enjoyed some exciting holidays in New Zealand, going heli skiing, Fiji, Singapore in their early married life. Their honeymoon was at Mount Buller, where they enjoyed a week on their own and a party week with a cast of friends. Some of my earliest memories of Dad include growing up at 105 Wendouree Parade, Ballarat. We enjoyed our home beside the lake with a range of beautiful neighbours, including the Phillips and our lifelong friends, the Chisholms and the McKinleys. The lake was a beautiful location as we walked and rode our bikes around it and boated on it. We enjoyed weekends of soccer, barbecues with friends and Sunday trips to Torquay to visit Nan, which was Dad's mum. With Mum's family not far away, we were often out at Mama's at Miners Rest. Visiting Berwick Estate is also a vivid memory, as it was Dad's childhood home. Cutting wood, visiting our famous cousins Jock and Scott, and catching up with Dawn and Graham was part of our lives. Dad had many stories about growing up on the farm, and it was easy to build a picture of his childhood from this over the years. One of Dad's favourite pastimes as a child was exploring the property on horseback and completing farm duties as required. Dad's appreciation for our equine companions was certainly a supporting factor in my passion for riding. There is no question I too also enjoy a quiet ride through the forest or the farmland. Dad worked at Field Air as in an operational role. The familiar smell of chemicals and avgas still takes me back to that first hug when Dad would come home from work, or we travelled in his WB Holden ute. Spending time at the airport was a common event, and Angus and I were at home rattling around the hangars and climbing in and out of planes. Holidays included going to the snow. Dad was a formidable skier down the mountain at Hotham in our younger days. Camping at Loch Nine was also an exciting annual family holiday with the Swantons, who are lifelong friends to Mum and Dad and Angus and my godparents. Christmas holidays in Torquay were where we were just a short walk away from Nana's, and with the Lease and the Lalies were also exciting times as we enjoyed the simple pleasures of living by the sea, back when Torquay was a sleepy little seaside village. Dad took Angus and I on a trip to Queensland, not long after Graham and Dawn had moved to the Gold Coast. Angus and I played our Game Boys until the batteries ran out in the car. We explored the sideshows at Expo 88 and we hung out with our older cousins in their new tropical location. Convincing Dad to come on holidays in later years was a little challenging. There is no question he just loved being at home. Growing up on the farm gave Dad a passion to become a product engineer. I'm sure you all of our family and friends will reflect on Dad's homemade projects that made all of our lives easier. Some of the inventions included clothesline basket holders, multiple gate latch contraptions, and a step to help Billy get into the back of our ute. Dad's shed was a treasure trove of bits and pieces that he could not possibly throw out, as they may have a future use. Dad and his mates would quite often spend endless amounts of time rummaging around in there with a repair agenda. Possibly one of the most exciting ideas was the barbecue mate that Dad and Ian designed in the backyard at Ballarat. Ian was working for Wilshire at the time, and now I can possibly say every household in Australia has one of these clever little inventions. Becoming moteliers was a dream of Mum and Dad's, as they aspired to move away from the cold weather at Ballarat and enjoy a joint working lifestyle up here on the Murray River at Tocumwal. Living at the Canimbla was a huge part of our lives. Motel life was great for Dad. He enjoyed chatting with the customers and became a washing, cleaning and maintenance guru. Mum and Dad both settled into the Tocumwal lifestyle, Dad joining the Chamber of Commerce and the local angling club. The angling club was a lifelong affiliation to Dad, and he enjoyed the banter, regular beer drinking camaraderie and possibly some fishing. After the motel days, Mum and Dad settled into Chanter Street, a beautiful location just across from the Murray River. The house became a lifelong renovation project for Dad, starting with the watering system installation so Mum could build her beautiful garden. Ron, a builder, joined the team with his trades assistant Dad, and they slowly modified the internal layout, rebuilt each room, and turned it into the beautiful place we call home. One of Dad's favourite places to reflect on life and enjoy the beautiful Tocumwal weather was on the back veranda with an accompanying coffee or beer and a friendly local face. If you could not find Dad there, he could be found here under this beautiful tree. A stroll down the river and in later years a journey on his scooter was a daily event. Swimming, woodcutting, enjoying a quiet beer while watching the mighty Murray go past was one of Dad's favourite pastimes. Angus's death was possibly one of Dad's biggest life challenges. I don't believe he ever really got over the death of Angus. The circumstances surrounding his initial accident, followed by a period in hospital and rehabilitation in Melbourne, relocated Dad to Oakley as he went about trying to support Angus through one of the most trying times in his life as a result of an acute brain injury. This injury eventually claimed Angus's life and consequently sent Dad into a period of poor mental health. The light at the end of the tunnel over this period was Angus's baby girl, Eden. Eden, who is such an important part of our life, has blossomed into a beautiful young lady who is high achieving and exceptional. Her beautiful talents as a musical artist has been a highlight for Dad when she has visited Toke. Her studies in political science, as well as her strong sense of justice, will put her in a good standing for a career in the public service and possibly for running our country in the future. Vote 1, need to. Rod and I have 3 beautiful children, Alex, Lockie and Sophie, who grew up here with Pa in Tocumwal. They navigated his cheery disposition and his cranky days as well. The kids enjoyed exploring the river with Dad, poking around the backyard, visiting the local pool and sitting on the back deck and eating icy poles. Dad was a happy sideline participant for the kids' sports, including cricket and football. He watched their golf from afar through MyScore. For those of you who are not aware, MyScore is an app that you can access and see what a golfer is scoring from afar. It's a bit like stalking someone's golf game without them knowing you're doing it. Granny does it to us, and we do it to her. There's nothing like starting a conversation with your mum with what the hell happened on the 16th. So although Dad has not been a golfer in my lifetime, he could certainly appreciate the difference between an eagle and a birdie or a par or a bogey or all that rubbish golf that comes after that. He often referred to his unsociable left-handed hook that could take him across fairways in the wrong direction when he played golf in his younger days. Although his golfing skills were a bit questionable, he enjoyed being the captain of the Ballarat Golf Club in 1987 and was a valuable member of the Greens Committee for many years. Not that I want to talk about the war, but it would be a little insensitive of me not to bring up Essendon. Dad was pretty passionate about the Bombers. It was a win-win situation when Rod came on the scene, as he was a Bomber fan as well. I do not believe anyone should inflict their football teams on their children, but small children sometimes can't make good decisions on their own, so we had a family of Bombers from the get-go. This Bomber team was complemented by the White family Bomber team. What more could you want than 6 boys and a pink person to carry Essendon into the next generation alongside Pa? But who would want to support a derelict team with a smeared reputation littered with drugs and bad behaviour? So as a result, the spill was inevitable. James and Lockie claimed the Cats, Tom the Bulldogs and Max Richmond, and this left Alex and Sam as the only remaining crew. I'm not sure Soph was ever really committed to the football from the start. Maybe in Dad's absence, Essendon will make a comeback that will complement their 2000 season. Dad's health was an interesting talking point. As a type 1 diabetic, he was harnessed with lifelong challenges from the start. This was escalated when he suffered his first heart attack in 1994. Over the years, Dad was a regular visitor to St Vincent's and had 29 stents keeping his heart in operation. Dad's visitations to hospital could be compared to an annual holiday due to their regularity. Dad was awarded the Killian Medal for both 50 and 60 years living with diabetes. We joked at the time that they had given the medal to the wrong person, as there was no question that Mum was such a vital part of Dad's life in supporting his management with his diabetes and the decline over the last few years. The crew of support staff, paramedics, district nurses, rural fire brigade, Interreach, the occupational therapists were a vital support mechanism to help Mum and Dad manage Dad's declining health. They greeted him like a lifelong friend on their visits and fostered a beautiful relationship with him when he was at his most vulnerable. The VAT team were also such great support as he made decisions in his final days that allowed him to die with dignity and on his own terms. Thank you.
Yeah, only one shaky bit, but all good. You did that wonderfully, Maggie, and your dad would be proud of you. Now, next on the agenda is Eden. No pressure after that rap you've just got. And she's going to sing us a song in memory of Wallace.
Ready to go?
Ready to go.
Thank you for letting me play for all of you today. Now, I, in my mistake coming up from Melbourne, did not bring a capo for my guitar, so in true Wallace Beveridge fashion, I have created my own using a pencil and 2 rubber bands. So the song I'll play today is called Sadness as a Gift. It's a song by Adrian Lenker, and it's a song that some of you may be familiar with, as I played it with Amelia at Par's 80th in 2024.
Both know there is nothing more to say. Chances shut her shining eyes and turned her face away. Leaning on the windowsill, you could write me someday, and I hope you will. We could see the sadness as a gift and still feel too heavy to hold. Snow falling, I try to keep from calling. Watch the spring turn to winter, fireflies all frozen. The seasons go so fast, thinking that this one was gonna last. Maybe the question was too much to ask. Been searching for your eyes, all I see is blue skies. When that old man beats his crooked cane, it's time to let go. Leaning on the windowsill, you could ride me someday, and I think you will. We can see the sadness as a gift and still the seasons go so fast, thinking that this one was gonna last. Maybe the question was too much to ask. into the same eternity. Every second brimming with a majesty. Oh, kiss so sweet, so fine. You can hear the music inside my mind, and you show me a place I'll find. Even when I'm old, just leaning on the windowsill. You can write me someday, and I'll bet you will. We can see the sadness as a gift and steal. The seasons go so fast, thinking that this one was gonna last. Maybe the question was too much to ask. Thank you.
Well, I think she lived up to the words she got before, so well done, Eden. Fitting with Wallace's love of the river and the bush and the vista we've got here, the reflection verse that I'm going to read was chosen by Annie and Maggie and probably all the rest of the family as a reflection of Wallace. It's called Stories by the Murray. The Murray River carries many things: rain from distant places, fallen leaves, reflections of old gum trees, and the memories of generations who have lived beside it. And today, as we remember him, it feels fitting to think of the river, because like the Murray, he carries stories. Stories told around kitchen tables, on verandas at sunset, beside campfires, in sheds, in boats, and anywhere people were willing to listen. Some stories grew with every telling. Some made us laugh until we cried. Some taught lessons without ever meaning to. And some simply reminded us where we came from. He had lived long enough to gather 80 years of life, years of hard work, friendship, family, change, loss and joy. And through it all, he remained generous with his time, his wisdom and his stories. Like the river itself, he connected people. He made strangers feel welcome, turned ordinary moments into memorable ones, and left behind a current of love and laughter that will continue to flow through all who knew him. Today, we say goodbye, but we know the stories will not end here. They will be retold at family gatherings, remembered with a smile, beside the water, and carried forward by those who loved him most. And perhaps that is how a good life continues, not only in years lived, but in stories shared. But it is now time to take our leave of Wallace, whom we've always remembered with warmth and appreciation. From the midst of our proud mourning, we leave this service knowing that love is never changed by death, that nothing is ever lost by death, and that the end is the harvest of a new beginning. We are grateful for the life that Wallace has lived and for all that his life has meant to us. And so we say, we are glad he lived. We are glad we saw his face, felt his touch and heard his laughter. We are comforted to know all pain has ended and his spirit is free. We will leave this service with all our memories of Wallace, thankful in the knowledge that he has been a part of our lives, and that his memory will continue to be an inspiration to us all. So Wallace, you'll be forever in the memories of all who knew and loved you, and it is with this final goodbye to you that all of us here say, we will remember you until we meet again. Now, before we finally finish, I would like to thank each of you for attending this service today, and thank you for the kindness and friendship you've shown Wallace over the time you've known him. And I'd now like to finish with some final words. As we look back over time and thinking of Wallace, we find ourselves wondering, did we remember to thank you enough for all that you have done for us, for the times you were by our sides, to help and support us, to celebrate our successes and understand our problems, but also to accept our defeats, or for teaching us by your example the value of hard work, good judgment, courage and integrity. We wonder if we thanked you for all the sacrifices you made to let us have the very best, and for the simple things like laughter, smiles, hugs, and the things we shared. If we've forgotten to show our gratitude enough for all the things you did for us, we're thanking you now, Wallace, and we hope you knew all along how much we loved you and how much we meant to you. That concludes the funeral service for Wallace. Please feel free to move around and share your memories of him. And also check out the table here of some of his memorandum, although the wind has just decided that the green grass is a better place for the photo board than... I reckon he might have. I'd also like to invite you back to the Terminus Hotel. The address is on the back of the booklet if you don't know where it is, but if you live in Tocumwal, I'm sure you do, to share refreshments, but more importantly, those stories of Wallace that you all have. And one final thing, anyone who didn't sign the book on the way in, it'll be still there on the way out, just the 2 stands beside the path. If you could do that as you either wait for the golf cart or walk back to the pub. Thank you.
Anyone would like a drink?
Okay. Now, because technically it's illegal for me to do any different, we've hidden the eskies over there. They're not actually hidden from you, they're hidden from the rangers that might drive past. Anyone who wants a beer, as they remember Wallace, feel free to help yourself. That doesn't mean slip 3 in your pockets and walk off. Just one as you go. Thank you.